Christopher's Factory has leveled up with a new laser cutter, courtesy of SINISMALL, the official retailer of Ortur laser cutter and laser engraving machines. They sent me an email last month telling me about their boast-worthy 15,000mm per minute laser engraving machine, the Laser Master 2 Pro S2. And I said, yes, I am interested, and they graciously sent me one to review and tell you whether or not I think it's worth buying. I was not brave enough to tell them that I was not actually the Ben that they addressed the email to, and I was too excited to get my first sponsor, so I said, sounds good, let's do it. When it arrived, I followed my first instinct, which was to tear apart the box like a wild animal, and my first impression was, wow, it's big, oh my gosh, holy cow, it's so big. Personally, I got my start as a maker with 3D printing, which some might say is cheating because you kind of just load a file in and it just makes it for you. Point being though that where I come from, it's difficult and quite expensive to make an FDM machine that is this scale. Oh my gosh, it's like a quarter of a square meter. Because it's like 40 by 50 or 50. Oh, I better check if I'm making a video about it. Okay, after verifying, it's 540 meters on the X direction and 460 on the Y direction. So the official build area or cut area that they claim is 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters. But it looks like it could be more than that. I'm sure, I mean, 3D printers do this as well. That's the minimum that you're going to get. It's going to be at least 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters. But it looks like, I would guess there's some wiggle room where if you're savvy, know what you're doing, you could probably get it all the way up to at least 440, I would guess. It's huge. It's enormous. Putting the machine together was okay, and I've seen that other people have kind of had the same opinion. It kind of felt like when you get your first like big boy Lego set, you know, the advanced Lego sets where it's not hard, it's just challenging, and on a few occasions maybe a little bit confusing. Ortur provided me with this manual, and I pray, please, for the love of everything, include just a little bit of English on some of these sections. There's English like later, there's written out instructions like later in the book where it says, okay, connect the wires. But it's like, I don't need you to write out to tell me to connect the wires. I get that. I need you to tell me that this aluminum piece right here is not symmetrical, and so it needs to be put in the correct direction. You know what I mean? There needs to be some sort of, okay, looking at this now, I get it. There's arrows, right? I should have known. All of these pages, just a little bit of an explanation. Assembly of X-axis. I know that this is the assembly of the X-axis. Tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. Tell me whether I'm supposed to torque the screws down or not yet, because you're going to have to put something else in there. Most of you guys that follow me are smarter than me anyway, so it will probably not give you as much trouble. It took me about 2 hours to put mine together, but I saw a lot of other people saying they put theirs together in like 30 minutes. So do with that information what you will. I already kind of mentioned the construction on the machine is just absolutely great. It's very rigid. It looks good on my workbench. I like the black on black design, and I like that it's surprisingly low profile in terms of height. Even though it's an enormous build area, it's very shallow. It's not very tall, so it's actually surprisingly portable. I move mine outside every time I cut because there's smoke and smelly stuff. Another thing to note is that I was sent the 10-watt version of this laser module, which I highly recommend. I told SINISMALL that I was going to be using the machine for both laser cutting and engraving, so I needed something a little bit more powerful. I also told them specifically that I wanted to be able to cut and engrave this 5mm, 4.75mm MDF hardboard. And you can see that it actually does a great job. They said that you'd be able to do it in 2 passes. I found that I couldn't do it in less than, I think 3 was the minimum and 4 was about good. The problem if you don't have enough power to your laser is that you can still do it in, you could do 20 passes if you wanted, but you're going to get this really bad charring and scarring and burning on the edges, as well as just an absolutely massive chasmic kerf when you're cutting your parts, which detriments your accuracy quite a bit if you're trying to make things to tight tolerances. I love this machine, but I wouldn't be as fanatic about it if I had less than this module, I think. I was kind of confused. Laser manufacturers, laser cutter and engraver manufacturers, we need to stop measuring these things in watts because it doesn't make any sense, right? I have these little 1/10 of a watt laser pointer modules. I could take one of those and get a 39.9 watt resistor just straight from the positive to ground and sell that as a 40 watt laser module, but it wouldn't cut anything, right? The power is not directly correlated. I get why sometimes it is, but the power is not directly correlated to the cutting strength of the laser. I did the math and estimated that I use about 11,000 watts just walking up the stairs to my apartment. And that's not because I can cut 5mm MDF hardboard to a human hair worth of accuracy. It's just because I'm fat. So we're going to use a different metric, okay? I don't care what it is, but get on it. Sinus wanted me to make sure to tell you that the Laser Master 2 Pro S2 is fast. very fast. We're talking 10,000 millimeters a minute for the standard laser diode module and 15,000 millimeters per minute for the upgraded one that I recommend. For those of you that live here with me in Freedom Town, we're talking half a mile per hour. Oh yeah. And I made these little keychains. They say Christopher's Factory, aren't they cute? These ones were engraved at about 500 millimeters per minute, and even then, I mean, that was like the fastest I could get it, otherwise it wouldn't engrave the sublimation coating of these little aluminum tags. We're not engraving the actual aluminum on these, right? It's just the little coating that you, I don't know if it's anodized or what, but you can buy these, I'll put the link in the description. This is sort of a tangent, but I remember thinking when I was like in high school that I really wish there was something for me to do that I could have like an online business. Selling like things of your own design like this would actually be really killer if you had a laser cutter. I would totally, if I could go back in time, I would get myself this laser cutter and I would sell little keychains and little knickknacks and doodads and stuff like that. But anyway, it is still nice to have the maximum speed of 15,000 millimeters a minute. I do wonder if you were to buy one of the lower laser modules, one of the lower class ones, what the maximum speeds you would be getting is. Because I dial mine down quite a bit for when I'm cutting and engraving, just to make sure that I get crisp engravings and cuts and stuff. So I do wonder if you were to downgrade the laser module, how much that would downgrade your times. This will probably mean more to you than it does to me, so I'm just going to read what they said verbatim. The LaserMaster 2 Pro S2 uses a 12-bit precision PWM signal, more than 1,000 grayscale performances, give you real photo-like details, engraving fine lines and details down to 0.06 millimeters, which I added is about the width of the human hair. I can back this up because the detail that comes through when using this machine is absolutely impeccable, especially when you focus the laser properly. Some inferior brands of laser cutters and engravers have been in the news for catching on fire. Not Ortur. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Ortur. I just realized I've never actually heard anybody say it. I've only ever read it, like in print. So I'll go with Ortur. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyway, Ortur has a massive, easy-to-push emergency stop button, which I have actually pushed several times when I realized that I was printing off of my jig or that something was going wrong with my print that was all due to my own user error. But it's nice that it has that massive button that just cuts everything off instantly. It also has an infrared sensor that will automatically detect flames and shut down the machine if it does. One of my criticisms with this machine, though, is that this infrared sensor works a little bit too well. As I mentioned, I usually move my machine outside so that it doesn't get my apartment all smoky, but if it's in direct sunlight, I found that the sun, the infrared rays from the sun, can actually trip the emergency alarm on the machine. So it is good. Here's the thing, I would prefer that it is overactive rather than underactive. I very much prefer that, but it is something that if they could tune a little bit better would be nice. A couple things in the name of giving feedback to Ortur for this machine. Please change the USB port to USB-C. There's no reason to sell a laser cutter in this day and age with a USB-B port. The DC barrel jack doesn't fit in quite all the way, and even though it is ground on the outside polarity, it still makes me uncomfortable to see exposed metal from a power jack. Also, it sparks when you plug it in. And it's not a big deal, like I know it's not dangerous, I have a printer that does the exact same thing, but just fix it. Just don't make it spark. It's not dangerous, but I don't like it. You might be thinking to yourself at this point, well, Mr. Factory, it sounds like your only criticisms of the LaserMaster 2 Pro S2 are kind of surface level and not very material. To which I would say, yes, Chad Wojak Vineboom. I've had access to big boy real-time CO2 Brobdingnagian laser cutters before, and I always had it in my mind that laser diode cutters were kind of gimmicky, and they didn't work very well. There are plenty of companies that are trying to sell you X-Tool knockoffs with these gimmicky rotary engravers and things that, you know, you can get for $150 but just don't work that well. We're talking cheap, flimsy, underpowered machines. But this does not describe SINISMALL's Ortur LaserMaster 2 Pro S2. No. Price point, we're looking at $250 for the LaserMaster 2 Pro S2, but that's with the LU2-2 laser module, which is the entry-level module for this machine. At the time of recording this video, it was sold out, and I say good. I hope it stays sold out, because I don't think that this machine would be as exciting and useful as I find it to be if you were not using this top trim laser module. When I buy something, especially for this channel, I want it to be something that is versatile. I want to be able to use it for many different purposes. I would not buy a machine that can just engrave and maybe can cut some really small things. I would want something that I can use for a wide range of application. As someone who treads the national poverty line as if it were a tightrope, price is almost always the most significant factor in buying any piece of equipment for me. So it begs the question, is this device worth the price tag? I'm going to say, yeah, it's pretty good. A quick search on Amazon for 10-watt laser cutters shows this $700 10-watt laser, this no-name brand piece of junk for $322 and worse reviews than my Etsy shop, and this X-Tool 40-watt laser cutter with a gimmicky rotary attachment for your white soccer mom $90 Stanley bugs. And this X-Tool one definitely has a smaller cutting area. I genuinely think Ortur did a good job with this product of making something that has everything you need and nothing that you don't, while also providing the accessories for the things that you don't necessarily need but might want. You can get things like an engraving platform so that you don't destroy your wife's nice end table like I did. They do have roller attachments because they do serve their purpose. The complaint that I have with them is that they're usually tacked on for an exorbitant expense and they're sort of niche. They also have for sale detachable enclosures and automatic motorized Z-axes. I will be totally honest, when I first saw SINISMALL's invitation to collaborate on this product, I thought it was some no-name knockoff brand, and I thought, yeah, sure, whatever, this is my first sponsor, give me a laser cutter, please. What I did not expect to find out is that Ortur actually makes high-quality, robust, competitively priced machines, and my LaserMaster 2 Pro S2 with the LU2-10A laser module is a joy. I genuinely like it, and I think that it is worth the price. Subscribers of Christopher's Factory can get an additional $30 off of their machine by using code PS30 at checkout. If you have questions about the machine that I did not cover in this video, please leave them in the comments, and I will try my hardest to be as responsive as possible. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.